So, if you're a counsellor and you've got a friend who's struggling, can you help them? Hello, everyone. My name is Rich Pearson. I'm a professional counsellor and psychotherapist based in Falmouth in Cornwall. And today we're going to be talking about, can you give counselling to your friends? So a lot of people might immediately just say no to this. And there's a good reason for saying no. I've had to turn down friends of mine as well, who have asked if I can give them counselling. I always try and recommend a different counsellor where I can. But the main reason that you shouldn't give therapy to people that you are friends with, that you know particularly well, and I'd especially say that people that you are directly related to, is because it's very difficult to remain objective when you have a relationship that extends anywhere outside of the counselling room and the therapeutic relationship. If you are talking to someone and they're expected to share their deepest, darkest, possibly things that they might be ashamed of, kind of secrets, it's not exactly going to be easy for them to do that. If you then go and see them in the pub and you've got the same group of friends, it's not going to make it very easy for you as a therapist, because then you're possibly going to be wondering, which things can I talk about? Because obviously I can talk about the things that we've talked to each other about as friends, but I can't talk openly, breaching confidentiality, about things that have been told to me within the counselling room. So it is very difficult. On the other hand, I give counselling to someone that I know, someone who I was friends with a very long time ago, and we've just kept in touch through like Facebook and social media, but we don't see each other on any kind of regular basis. In fact, before, I think they asked me if I could give them some professional help. I hadn't seen them in person for about 5 years, and we don't even talk particularly regularly on Facebook, but there's nothing, our friendship didn't end for a bad reason. It didn't really end, I don't think, but they messaged me and they said, would it be appropriate if you could give me some therapy? And I thought about it, and I talked to my counsellor, and my counsellor is actually someone, so every good counsellor should have their own counsellor as well to talk about their own stuff. My counsellor is actually someone who I initially trained with. So my counsellor actually is someone who was on the very first course that I started training on, and that's how I knew them, and we actually got on really well there, but we haven't seen each other since or outside of that. We don't really have any mutual friends in common or anything, and the same with the person that I'm currently giving some therapy to. But people have asked me, people who I might see on a regular basis, people who work in shops that I might regularly go into, have said, would I be able to give them counselling? I said, I don't think that would be appropriate, because, for a whole number of reasons, because, it might make that person feel very anxious if I'm just walking around the shop and they can see me and they're going, oh God, that's the person that I've told this, that and the other about too. So it's important to be aware of the boundaries yourself. The BACP has an ethical framework, and the CPCAB try and teach us in such a way that makes us understand and aware of where the boundaries really are. Now, this is not to say that you cannot use what you've learned in therapy as a counsellor to talk to other people who are, close to you. Like, I regularly talk to lots of friends of mine about non-violent communication and conditions of worth and things like that. My mum rang me the other day about one of her friends and asked me for my advice, and I was more than happy to give it. My wife hates the fact that I am a counsellor and sometimes use therapeutic things to try and discuss our relationship, so it's a bit more tricky trying to work around that, but I do use it because it's important stuff. Learning how to be a counsellor is not learning how to be a better person, but a lot of the skills that you learn along the way do help you to see things more objectively and have less arguments and stuff like that. So, to answer the kind of question, can you give counselling to your friends? It depends how regularly you're likely to see them. If you're going to bump into them once in a blue moon, and be able to remain objective in that way, then I personally wouldn't see a problem in it. You know, I live in a very small town. I have to explain to every client that I have that if there's a possibility of me seeing them around town, then, you know, I don't say hello to any of my clients if I see them. I wait for them to acknowledge me. That's a whole separate thing that we'll go into. But it's very likely that I will bump into some of my clients because I live in a tiny Cornish town. So it's important to understand these barriers and these boundaries. But I'll finish this video with a quote from one of my lecturers called Jay, who was explaining to us about, you know, boundaries with respect to who you should give counselling to and who you shouldn't give counselling to. And he summed it up like this. He said, if you're a client and the other person is your counsellor, then they should be nothing else other than your counsellor, really. And this is I think that works really well, because I mean, people, you know, in counselling sessions have said to me things like, you know, because I have other skills outside of counselling. I'm actually a qualified tree surgeon as well, and people have said to me, oh, you know, I've got to sort out this tree in my garden, and you know, I'm thinking there for the moment, God, I could make a few quid here. I could go and sort this person's tree out for them. But that would be unethical, because then I would have a very different professional relationship with this same person. I'd be coming into their home filled with their, you know, secrets and things which they might not want people to know. And it puts me in a very awkward position, really, ethically, in terms of the relationship. And that's what all these boundaries and things come down to, is how well are they serving the therapeutic relationship for the client. And again, this goes back to the sort of the tenets of person-centered counselling, because if you are seeing someone on a regular basis as in a social way, as a friend, and then you're trying to be objective and give them therapeutic help and guidance, it's really not going to happen like that. So yeah, unfortunately I've had to turn down a lot of people who have asked me for therapy because I said, I know you too well. I see you on too much of a regular occasion. I know your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your parents or anything like that. I'm not able to be particularly objective in that way. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this short video explaining about whether or not you can give therapy to your friends. If you'd like to see more stuff like this, please feel free to subscribe, and I will see all of you tomorrow for the next video. Thanks very much.